Period. Democracy is just a form of government. Now that's what we really need to talk about. Because what is the purpose of government? I'm going to read to you one page out of the book. Would you be so kind as to... oh
my gosh, I need my glasses.
Just read that one sentence about government and then what it says after that. What does it say? Can you see?
No, I can't see.
Right here. It says government, and then what does it say after that? A system. Okay, what does it say?
Can you read it?
Government, a system for what? What does it say?
But you need to read it.
So government, where was it? Government, a system for controlling
the society.
Say it again.
Controlling the society.
So government, all government.
I can't even see myself either.
Are systems to control the society in the place of the world. Now, we are the people in that society. Democracy is just one form of government. What is the form that's in common?
Controlling the society. Controlling the society.
So that's trick language because that's not true. It can't be a constitutional monarchy. The two words are inconsistent. That means they don't agree.
Oh, right here.
That's a trick.
Beverly, you want one? Is it a die? Thank you.
One of the things that I do, we were talking about it earlier. See this little book? What does it say?
The Constitution of the United States.
This is, I carry this all the time. All the time, everywhere I go. Put it in my little pocket. I would like for as a project, I'm just suggesting that we start doing it.
Hi, Fanga. This is so nice. Great information.
Taking it wherever we go.
It's my sister, Abby.
Pull it out, read it. Just a suggestion. Because a constitution isn't even enough. In this country, once they got the Constitution, they had to go further and get a Bill of Rights. Because it wasn't in the Constitution the things that provide for the culture of the people. A monarchy, I gave my students a test a couple weeks ago. And here are the answers to that test. And guess what one of the questions was? What is a monarchy?
What is the monarchy?
What is a monarchy? Isn't that one of the questions?
Okay.
What is a monarchy? Yeah, isn't that?
Yeah.
And so this is what they were supposed to say. It's a state ruled by a king. Rule is hereditary. And some rulers claim divine rights. They're trying to say they're like God. Okay.
That's
that's a mistake. But they try to do it. A lot of them get away with it. So a constitutional monarchy is a trick. I want you to understand that right now. Here's something, though, that's not a trick. Do you know what a diaspora is? Anybody here?
No.
Diaspora? We are living in a Tongan diaspora. So all of you have a phone right now. Get out your phones. Come on, get your phones out. I want you to Google the word diaspora. D-I-A-S-P-O-R-A. Get 2 words on diaspora. Come on, get your phones out. Come on now. You got your phones?
How do you spell it again?
D-I-A-S. Come on, if you got a phone, please. D-I-A-S.
S.
P-O-R-A. Diaspora.
No.
Diaspora. We are living in a Tongan diaspora, and I need you to know that.
No. D-I-A-S.
D-I-A-S-P-O-R-A. Now, it's not a bad thing to be in it, but what is not good about it is not knowing you in it.
Did you find it?
No, because I'm live.
It means we're disconnected from our home, from the place, from the ground that we were born into. And it breaks us down. You know it, you can feel it. But you didn't know the word for it. Diaspora. So this healing conversation that's needed for Tonga, for China, for Fiji, for France, for Japan, whatever it might be, that healing conversation is to connect the culture of the ground that you were born from. Period. That's democracy. It makes us feel good. We wake up in the morning ready to work. We go to bed at night and we sleep good because we're not hungry. No one's trying to take anything from us. We feel safe. In a diaspora, you do not feel safe.
So you're in the homeland.
Because you're not on your ground. You're on someone else's ground.
Wow.
And our hearts cry for it. A democracy is simply one form of government where the people get a chance to claim their culture, hear their voice respected without judgment. A monarchy is another form of government where the people are not included. I don't care if you put Constitution in front of it, it doesn't matter. Another form of government is aristocracy. Anyone familiar with that word, aristocracy? Because it's different from monarchy. And there's one that's even more scary. It's called oligarchy. Those of you who have a phone, here's what I would like for you to do right now. I want you to Google the word democracy, please. If you got a phone, I want you to Google the word democracy.
I guess I have to finish the live. I have to look it up.
D-R-A-C-Y. Just humor me if you have a phone. Just Google the word democracy. But we bring ourselves together in organizations that help us in our diasporan chaos, which is what we're doing tonight, which is a beautiful thing. But wouldn't it be better if we were in Tonga? You see how just I feel so much better?
No, thank you. No, thank you. Just kidding.
Unless there's something wrong there.
Yeah.
And there is. And so what is the solution? The solution is simply to remember the culture that was your ground when you were born and to keep it here and to make sure the people there never forget it. It's not hard. You don't need violence. You don't need to burn anything down. You don't need to kill anybody. You just need the culture of your ground to win. Period. Now, there are people who are trying to stop that from happening. They have a form of government called an oligarchy. You ever hear that word before? Oligarchy? That's real dangerous. It's trying to happen here in this country. Where just a small group of citizens who are wealthy and control the military are in charge.
Wow.
Aristocracy ruled by nobles, family ties, and the social status and wealth supports their authority. There's two forms of democracy that most people struggle with. The one is called direct democracy, and the other is a representational democracy. Direct democracy was the oldest form where the people actually made the laws. No one was voted to go someplace and then speak for them. The people actually made it. You actually did this before there was a king. But it may not be in your memory, but it's in your genes. It's in your genetic memory. Before there was a king. Any questions?
I think it's hard for Tongans to really understand what before a king was, because our history of kings goes back to HALA'I in the 9th century.
So you don't even want to use the word history because that is what's keeping you a slave, that you've been tricked into thinking, because the education system in Tonga is part of the problem.
Our story.
Our story.
Our story. So our story. And we could even call it our genealogy, right? Because all of us, if we're looking at our story, our genealogical lineage to the first Futoma back in the 9th century, according to our origin stories, so I don't want to say myth, because
myths are not true.
Perpetuates the same thing. HALA'I came from the demigod, came from the sky, from the heaven. So then,
no, Offie, I'm not.
I mean, to me,
I don't work until 6.
My genes still scream, you know, like HALA'I, who is still a king, who was the first Tonga. So I don't know. Also, Tonga is a very, very unique place in the world.
It's in the middle of the ocean, where there is no gold, there is no oil. The only reason for war is to take the resources of the people that are there, kill them, and you can get away with it, and of course not pay them at all.
What about it? I think it makes...
The only resource Tonga has is its people. If you think about it, it's its people. I heard there were some people trying to steal Tongan identity. It was being sold or something like that. I don't know if it's true, but you may know more about that than I. Direct democracy. The people made the laws. Then, over time, it became representational democracy, where you voted for someone to go and represent you. Now, here's what happened with that. Corporate greed, special interests, businesses started to buy the representatives. Lobbying organizations, self-interest, there's all different kind of ways to describe these people, but they end up buying the representatives who are supposed to be helping your culture, our culture, but now they're talking about the business self-interest. The greatest catastrophe that we are facing right now is the climate. And Tonga is an island where the ocean is starting to rise, and if we're not careful, there won't be a Tonga in 200 years. It'll be covered by water. That's a little bigger thing to think about than a king, because he would drown like everybody else. So, there's all of these forms of government. Democracy is just one. There's direct, there's representational. The oligarchs are the problem that Tonga is actually, from what I understand, that is the crisis in our country, in our diaspora. There are these few people who come together to buy the resource, which is just the people. Thank you for listening.
One question. Let me swing to what I just said, is swing the thing into political discussion. Let me ask him what everybody likes to hear.
Which is?
Right now, Akilisi have done the political work all the way to the bank of the rivers. And we need to cross the river to the other bank where constitutional monarchy, which we all know tonight, there's no such thing as constitutional monarchy because they are not agreeing to each other. but whatever is in the other side of the bank. So the transition is, we need people. That's what TOPUNA need now. We need people who know how to transform democracy to cross to the other side. But my question is, the people who were sitting there, as we all know, the disagreement of people has to put through into justice, and the law is the solving mechanism for the people or disagreement. So, but the people from the other side of the bank, as on the other side of the river, they are the law. They make the law, which we call
That's
it
pretty.
law or whatever.
I like it. I like that.
To transform, it's very, very hard because the law cannot do its responsibility. And because of that, what shall we do?
That's an excellent question, because what my wife just described was an oligarchy. And I just got finished telling you that is the most dangerous form, and it's happening everywhere right now on this planet. A man by the name of Noam Chomsky, you may or may not know him, has described it as the ultra-right point in time that has become so dangerous that our species is becoming extinct. Human beings. We're in what's called now the 6th extinction. You should write this down because this is really scary. And I'm not making this up. The 6th extinction. Now, the answer to your question is, how do you take this fake idea and get to where the people are feeling good about who they are, either in the diaspora, which is where we are here, or in Tonga? The first is to know what is in front of you. It's not a constitutional monarchy, it's an oligarchy.
I can get however my giving.
An oligarchy. Let me spell the word for you because I need you to remember this tonight.
And while you're looking at that, where is the position of the law?
Hold on, let me see. Oligarchy.
One at a time.
You should write this down. So, it's spelled O-L-I-G-A-R-C-H-Y. Please write it down because this is the problem now. So, O-L-I-G-A-R-C-H-Y. And so, how do you deal with an oligarchy?
Hi, Vika. I used to
Governments are set up so that you have laws, the courts, you have the legislators who help to make the right laws, and then you have the executive branch whose job it is to create policies to make those laws work, right? So, no one is above the law. Oligarchs try to trick people into thinking they're above the law, but they are not. They can be brought down because there are courts that can take the kingdom of Tonga, the king, his people, into a jurisprudence. The thing that you haven't figured out, though, is what court will do that. Polisi,
yeah, perfect.
He went to the United Nations. How many of you know he went to the United Nations? Because we hooked up when he came back. And one of the reasons why he went there was to, I don't know, but I would think it would be to put out the cause of the human rights violations that are occurring in Tonga and to bring it before a rapporteur to then bring it to the international court in, where is it? Where is it? Where is the international court? It's in Geneva. It's in Geneva. It's in Geneva.
Can you give us a starting point? Jess, I know you don't like to do this, but can you please give us a starting point where to start? If we like to form a group to start that work for the international, as we all understand, now, jurisdiction, even nobles. This is why the reform was stuck. Because they ain't anything you don't want to do that.
Okay, so, sweetie, here. What is needed would be a small group of people it could start here with Patrol. And you would petition to the United Nations. There's a number of different structures, but the cultural, economic, I'm trying to think of the rapporteur that you'd be looking for. You would be looking for the rapporteur that deals with human rights violations, because that's what's happening in Tonga. Human rights violations. And you could get a group of people together, contact the United Nations, and they won't just say, yes, come. You would have to write some stuff up, make some connections, go there and do a presentation, and get a rapporteur to look at the human rights violations in Tonga and bring the people who are responsible.
A lot of people are watching.
Is there any people like that here?
No, but the rapporteurs are in at the United Nations, but what needs to happen is for you to be able to actually talk about it. You can't be talking about a constitutional monarchy. It's an oligarch that has started there. And the hidden corporations of money that are behind that, they need to be identified. They might be foreigners, they might be Tongans.
That's interesting.
But the process would be to properly deal with the oligarch, it's not a constitutional monarchy, and put together a group of people, maybe 5, to go to the United Nations and put forth your case for the human rights violations. Any of you ever hear the man Malcolm X? Anybody ever hear the man Malcolm X? You know why he was murdered? He was murdered because he was about to do exactly what I'm suggesting you do for the crimes against black people in this country. That was one of the reasons why he was killed. To stop him from going to the United Nations. And he was in New York. United Nations was right down the street. Okay?
You say 5 people. We cannot just take 5 people. So, do you think lawyers? I need them to hear. So we won't disagree when we talk to each other. The right people to start this thing, because we need it start.
Okay, so you have to start with understanding what an oligarch is. That's the first thing. And I gave you the spelling of the word. Understand that, because that's the problem in Tonga. From there, the solutions will become clearer, and the Human Rights Commission that's in Tonga, you could call them on the phone.
There's nothing in Tonga human rights.
No, and I'm talking about the United Nations. You're taking your case before the United Nations, is what the strategy is.
So do you think it's good to have a lawyer here?
Well,
or international law?
I mean, an international lawyer would be good, but you don't really need one. What's really needed is for you to understand what an oligarch is, to do some reading. If you need consultation, you can find somebody that can help you with that. But the strategy is to go to the United Nations and present your case.
If the group decides to use you to help us.
I'm not an international lawyer. Yeah, I got a law degree, and yes, I know a lot of stuff, but
to do the writing.
But you could provide information and do writings.
I can do some coaching.
Coaching. That's a good one. To do coaching, that would be nice.
When you look at checks and balances between 3 forms of power, 3 branches of government, the legislature, the president, and the judiciary, all of them have equal power. That's democracy that we have. We put federalism, local, state and local, in the outside power. It's different from monarchy. Monarchy is the king, the nobles, and the people.
But you don't have a monarchy. What you have is an oligarch.
Yeah, but I'm looking at it because that's the point of democracy and power of democracy. Democracy, like if you talk about power, who rules America? We all know the corporation. America.
It's been an experiment that's been going on ever since the beginning.
Another president, that's how some arguments that. But what he's talking about, both United Nations and communication, because that's what democracy started in Poland.
People here in San Francisco. This is the group.
Take away the dignity
Koe tahi ne take ne patoa. Beverly. Come on, Bev. We gotta listen and understand.
So we finally get the rights to vote. We want more representatives. Those are the little changes that they come in. There's a fear now that those who are going in are reversing the thing. They are going.
Because it's oligarchs, they need oil.
They all have individual desire or something that they come in. Look at the new prime minister we have. And they still, the prime minister, still in the process that
Hai ta. Ta hau teke ke mohe.
elected by the people, for the people, by the
Kolintain, Bev.
they get inside, they do.
Y'all say hello. I'll see you next month.
But,
Linda.
you look at what Terry said. In the history, it was people, it was states. And we gave our rights to all the states in this town we have. Some of those who claim they gave us the right when we were all king and noble. A lot of our common kings claimed that it was they were anointed for before they were born. So there's a lot of tension between monarchy and democracy, between
Well, what we need is for him to
or pro-choice that we look at.
the human rights. It's interesting, though. Good information.
So here's the confusion. You are not in a monarchy. You are an oligarch. So that's the first correction to start making with the type of government you have. Which is the worst form, where your human rights, your culture is just stepped on. All right? Now, there are people that can help you with that, but they need to know about Samuel, when he went there, I don't really know, but I think that's what he was trying. What happened, I'm not really sure. But other people have tried. I'm suggesting this is a solution. Because you haven't tried it yet. And you didn't know that it was an oligarch, that's really a problem. There's not such a thing as a constitutional monarchy. Just think about all the tricks that have been played.
So at least you already did that when we went to the forum, we addressed the issue of West Papua. But there's still yeah, we took it to the forum and the United Nations, we addressed those two issues over there. But there's still
Bev. Linda say what for? Yeah. They did.
So there has been some individuals.
Do it? Oh, yeah. Bev said it's going next month.
So what you want to be able to do is to get a rapporteur to plead your case. A rapporteur is a fancy word for a reporter. These are the people who are designated to take on issues like this and to provide a report to the United Nations. And then if there's something that needs to happen after that, some litigation, international court, and then it moves from there.
Hi. Hey, Amelia.
Sorry.
We call it a whistleblower.
Oh, it's
Oh, whistleblower. Well, there's no whistleblower. Oh, you trying to say whistleblower? Well, there's whistleblower protection out there. But no, I'm not a whistleblower. So, again, it's not a constitutional monarchy. There's no such thing. It's an oligarch. Please remember how I spelled that word. Look it up, because that's the problem. And it will take time, but it's one step at a time. One step that you have to start. And here's the other thing to kind of remember. I gave you this word diaspora. This is an important secret that I'm passing on to you. We are living in
I know lies in it. Don't get out.
and that requires a whole other kind of wisdom.
It was so nice. He knows what he's talking about. Interesting. Okay, I guess we call it for the night.
KETAU FAKA'OFA. FAIAKO te kamata kene Monterey County, kapana koe poli te tau hamafi, ai board of directors koe patoa hina. Pako kakai ko koe ni ko ia te ia e ia e whanamari e koe. E koe baki ia sisien, e osa to patahai ko tua Amerikani.
Okay, Liza, iyo.
Ene se aosi e osi ai tiri. E hake koe mea kua hokoa, koe mea mahopinga e ke tau whakakauka, ke tau aue, o United Nations. Ma koe ngawe ka ko ke whaia ke mea noai o whaia ke paama, ke tau hawe haia kakai koe ke nau toa, ai pe paha ko whakapapaa, hala pehe, matou e pe pa ke ala ki United Nations, o te kau aki. Te koe ke lawa he lawa a tau ngā ke ne tau pia, e kakai koe mamma e lawa. O koe ke ne kulawa tanoa le rei, koe ke ne ilo e ia, ai basic problem koe tōna. Koe ke ne ilo e hamia pe hane konu tau ilo. Ko tui ka pala ne ilo mea pe te ne toi tanoa le rei. Kaike, te kamata me Monterey. Ka Monterey, ko hata haini, i Monterey.
Sweetie, the organization that complete to is called UNESCO. UNESCO is the name of the organization.
Yes, you are just here.
I know.
It was proper to hire a lawyer here to do the paperwork and to get it just with ourselves.
But the organization is UNESCO.